Will everyone please rise and join me in the pledge to our flag? I'd like to call our meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
stands
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you, Kim, for the flag. All right, due to the virtual meeting, there'll be no live public participation. Please feel free to email any thoughts or comments to the superintendent at charlene.dean@redjacket.org. The board will receive all thoughts and comments submitted. First up, we have our Red Jacket Athletic Program update with Sue. Are you on there, Stu? Hi, Sue. Oh, you're muted.
I am. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good seeing you guys. I want to be able to share my screen. Am I able to do that?
Let me just click on. Yep, you should be able to now, Sue.
Okay. Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Okay. Real fast. First things first, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to speak to you guys. It's certainly going to be a much shorter presentation than what we've seen traditionally from me in January. When Charlene and I were chatting, I think my first reaction to her was, and what would you like me to tell them? Because there's not really been a lot going on, sadly, in this world with us today, since August, as most of you know. So she and I talked a little bit, and she wanted me to give you an idea of where we've been and where we think we might be heading. So long story short, NISPA sports during a pandemic, and I think most of you can agree, if not all of you, sadly, we are just not where any athletic director would like athletics to be right now, unfortunately. NISPA, in consultation with the governor's office and the Department of Health, has allowed certain sports to occur and certain sports not to occur. And you may be aware that in the fall, we were allowed to have cross country, soccer, and then girls swimming. And while we don't offer girls swimming, I do send an athlete over to Mid-Lake. So I am thankful to John Lombardi for allowing our kids to merge with them in some of their sports. We also did send a couple boys over there for soccer as well this year. So we were able to have cross country, soccer, girls swimming, and boys soccer because of the two kids that went to Mid-Lakes. Girls golf was also offered. While we don't offer girls golf, we NISPA allowed that to happen this fall. We also understand that there was no football, no competitive cheer, no field hockey, and no volleyball. While we don't offer all of those were the NISPA sports that were not allowed to occur this past fall. November, we were told winter sports were going to begin. Well, that got pushed off to December. And then in December, we were told no winter sports were going to begin until January. Well, then when push came to shove, Governor Cuomo's office would not allow the high risk winter sports to occur, which I think we all know. So the only winter sports that were allowed were indoor track, bowling, which we obviously don't offer bowling, alpine skiing, Nordic skiing, both of those were allowed, which we don't offer, and boys swimming, which we also don't offer. But Governor Cuomo's office did allow, and the Department of Health did allow NISPA to allow those sports to occur because they felt they were lower risk sports. So with that said, indoor track for us never began until January 4th was the beginning of indoor track. So we allowed that. We do have the kids out practicing. Right now, due to the limit on the bus, we are only able to have 21 kids on the bus with our coach. That makes 22. If we have siblings participating, we can make the siblings sit together because they live in the same household together. So that would give us another couple of kids to put on the team. So I believe currently right now we have 22 athletes and one coach right now. So we only have one coach that was interested in coaching this year for various reasons. So we ended up with varsity, indoor track, no modified, sadly. There were only 6 kids that signed up for modified. One of them had tested prior to realizing there was not going to be wrestling. We had APP tested him to possibly move him up for varsity wrestling because we didn't know yet that that was not going to happen. And he chose not to participate and move up in indoor track. So he sadly chose not to do that. The other kids, based on coach recommendation, did not feel comfortable testing those kids to move them up. They were not kids that, some of them were new, had not done indoor track before. So he was a little nervous with all of that. So long story short, we decided not to test those other 5 kids. There was 1 kid out of those 5 that chose not to even participate when push came to shove. So we were actually down to 4 at that point. So with that said, we made the decision, because we didn't have a coach, not to go ahead and test those kids to move them up. At this point in time, there has been no word on whether or not we're going to be able to do spring sports. We don't know yet. We haven't heard anything. There's still a possibility that that could happen, but as of today, I don't know that. There is also still the possibility that effective March 1st, we are going to be able to have a fall 2 season. If you recall, back in the summer when Governor Cuomo said we could not have those high-risk sports, he allowed NISBA to create a fall 2 season, which is supposed to start March 1st, and it was supposed to encompass football, competitive cheer for the fall, and then volleyball. I don't know yet if that's going to happen. We don't know. And I'm guessing, my own personal opinion, I am guessing sadly that that's going to get postponed. But again, I just don't know that at this point. So with that said, NISBA sports after a pandemic. I think every AD will tell you how very critical it is for our kids to be playing sports. Bottom line is their mental health, their emotional health, all of that, the physical health. I think I can list 40 things for you guys, but I listed 7 or 8 or 9. We all know health, athletics promotes healthy, well-rounded kids. They're physically fit. They eat better. They're more conscious of what's going in their mouth. They eat healthier. They're just always wanting to do better and make themselves better physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. We know athletics will help them create leadership, teamwork, cooperation skills, that all of that forms for these kids. We know that there's lots of mentorships out there for them. They build these relationships with their coaches, with their peers, with their community, with adults. There's just so much that goes on for these kids that Mark can attest, I cry almost every day, and for lots of reasons, but one of them is I can't do any more for these kids than what I've been trying to do and continue to advocate for these kids to play sports. We need our kids playing sports. By Governor Cuomo canceling sports, he didn't just cancel the opportunity for these kids to compete. He canceled 15 minutes before practices start, when everyone's in that transition mode. He canceled a time when these athletes could be around adults that truly, truly care about them. He canceled their motivation to stay healthy, eat healthy, stay physically fit, to do things to better themselves. He canceled, for some of these kids, sadly, he canceled a reason for them to come to school. So many of our kids play sports that would much rather be athletes than be students. And you guys know I have worked hard with our kids to make sure they become students first and athletes second. We have so many kids that are failing classes. When they're participating in sports, they turn those grades around. They're working with those teachers to get their grades up. And sadly, sometimes that's the only time they do it. They only do it during their sports season, but they're doing it. And we're getting kids to understand the importance of academics and being a student before they become an athlete. So Governor Cuomo has, he's not just canceling all of this stuff. There's so much more that he's canceled that he doesn't even maybe realize. He's canceled opportunities for these kids to possibly play at a collegiate level, that these kids don't have that opportunity now. I've got juniors and seniors that are going on their 2nd year of a season without being able to participate. Prior to COVID, I had recruiters and all kinds of admission reps coming to our school to watch kids, particular kids, play in their sports, trying to recruit these kids for colleges. That's not happening. Hasn't happened in a year and a half. So these poor kids there's just so much more that these kids are losing that I don't think all of us truly think about. But bottom line is these kids are losing their connection. They're losing that connection to all of us adults, their coaches, their community, their parents. They're losing that connection that they truly, truly need at this point in their life. And I'm a little nervous for high school sports. I'm honest when I tell you that. I think we're in serious trouble. If we don't get kids back to playing sports, I think a year and a half from now, we're going to be in trouble getting our kids back into the realm of playing. I just don't see a lot of our kids, they've had a year off. What has that done to them physically? And I think sadly, it's hurt some of them. And I'm not sure we're going to see some of them come back playing sports again. And that makes me nervous. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in the spring. I know right now that we are where we are. We're doing our best to get our kids committed to indoor track. We maxed them out. We couldn't get any more than that. So we, based on only having one coach, so we've maxed them out. But no matter how you slice it, I know I'm going to remain committed to working with our league, with our section, with NISPA, and creating an environment that we are going to truly continue to make our kids excel in athletics as much as we can if they can play, at the same time keeping them academically sound, which is my goal for them. So always students first and athletes second. Does anyone have any questions for me tonight? See, look at that. Usually it takes me an hour. I got that done in 5 minutes.
I just want to say thank you, Sue. I know this has been a really challenging year for all of us in so many ways, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's out on a field. And so I do appreciate all of your hard work, and I appreciate, that you're trying to keep things going and trying to keep kids interested, and that you're looking forward, because, and taking advantage of the opportunities that are there. I mean, although it's not been ideal at all,
right?
At least been able to make some things happen for our students and coaches, and I appreciate, and school district, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Trying to, and I am nervous for the future. I really am. I don't know what the future is going to bring. If these kids continue not being able to play sports, I think we're in trouble. I really do. I just, as I talk to kids and talk to them about coming back and playing certain sports, they don't want to do it. I talked to one of the cross country kids to see if I could get him to do indoor track because he hadn't signed up for it. Finally, after about 3 hours at various times talking to him, he finally decided to do it. He just started with us on, what's today, Wednesday. He just started with us on Monday. But it's working so hard to get these kids to even want to participate. And that's the hard part. And I think it's only because they haven't been able to. Everything's been shut down for them, sadly.
I do think that when things open up, though, that'll change. I'm really optimistic. And I think I think kids and parents and families will be really excited.
Me too.
So I think the momentum will come back.
Right. And I hope it does. But the drawback that a lot of us don't know, and some of you guys may not know, you might, but a lot of our kids, sadly, they've gained 10, 15 pounds during COVID. I mean, I know what that means because I've done it too. But to now tell a kid all the time that now you've got to run some more and try and lose weight, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Now they're sedentary and they want to stay there. But I did want to share with you guys, I got an email today from Section 5 Executive Director. We are one of 3 other states. There are 4 of us that are not able to play basketball and ice hockey this winter season. There are only 4 states. New York is one, New Mexico, Illinois, and Washington are the other 3. And it just doesn't make sense to me because Lisa will know, because I know John feels the same way I feel. We are busting our hiney to make sure we have protocols in place for these kids to stay safe, sanitizing every single soccer ball between a throw-in, sanitizing every piece of equipment before another kid touches it. We are doing so much to keep our kids safe, and it's not spreading in the schools. That all studies will tell you that it's not spreading in the schools through athletics. So we just are really stumped as to why. We all know why, but we're just really stumped as to why Governor Cuomo won't let things loosen up a little bit for us. But anyways, that's my spiel.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Sue. I know I hear some of those calls, being the wife of an athletic director. So I know the challenges that
we're all going through. And I'm a big proponent, not just because John's an athletic director, but I do believe we need athletics in the school for all the reasons that you mentioned. This is a big driver why kids come to school. It's leadership, it's mentorship, it's that partnership that, you know, I see in the corporate world and, you know, and those skills. So thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much. Thanks you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Sue.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, so now I'd like to ask for a motion to move into audit committee.
Motion, Lisa.
Second, Amanda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So the extra classroom audit report, Appendix A, did anybody have any questions, concerns? Anything on that information? No?
No, it looks like what was found was corrected and there's a plan, so.
Yep. So is there a motion to move back into regular session?
Motion, Amanda.
Motion, second, Heather Bachman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. So now we're on to the approval of our minutes, the minutes from our December 9th regular meeting. Did anybody have any questions, revisions, comments?
I move these be accepted as presented. Lisa?
Second, Heather. This is so hard via Zoom.
Did you get that, Kim?
I think
Okay.
Marty Flowers would be proud, Heather, of how I just
No,
said
I
it.
just
would.
meant like we're constantly
Oh, yeah.
over speaking one another, like motion, motion, motion. I wish we
All
could
in-
go in order.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now we have the minutes of our December 22nd special meeting, Appendix C. Did anyone have anything on that?
I move these be accepted as presented. Heather Bachman.
Second, Lisa?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We're on to our personnel report and we did, Appendix D, and we did receive an addendum today from Kim. So hopefully everybody saw that in our email. Okay. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the board accepts with regret the resignation of Clifford Fairchild, head bus driver, effective January 22nd, 2021.
Motion, Amanda McNamara.
Second, Heather.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the board accepts with regret the resignation of Heather Borgie, food service helper, effective December 31st, 2020.
Motion, Lisa?
Second, Amanda.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to grant FMLA leave to Sarah Bragg, teacher, beginning on or about November 23rd, 2020 and ending on or about March 8th, 2021.
Motion, Heather Bachman.
Second, Lisa?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to grant leave to Jamie Pentland, teacher aide, beginning on or about January 19th, 2021 and ending on or about April 30th, 2021.
Second, Heather.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the board appoints Margaret Wright full-time on probation as a special education teacher. The probationary Service shall begin on January 1st, 2021 and end on January 3rd, 2024, provided that she has been rated as effective or highly effective during at least 2 of her 3 years of probation. The appointee is permanently certified in SBL, SDL, pre-K 6, elementary ed, and K-12 special education. Step 3 salary per the RJFA negotiated contract agreement.
Motion. Heather.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Kim, you got those, right? Both of those? Okay, I couldn't tell by your face. The way you looked up, I was like, did she get them? Okay. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to appoint Mitchell Lalick, indoor track head coach for the 2020-2021 school year, step 3 salary per the RJFA negotiated contract agreement.
Amanda, motion.
Lisa, second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to make appointments as per the consensus agenda.
Motion, Heather.
Second.
You got
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we're on to our CSE and CPSE report, Appendix E, and there's Christy. I was like, I know I saw a Christy box. There she is. Does anybody have any questions for Christy?
How's it going?
one.
Oh, sorry. This is
No,
Heather.
go ahead.
I was wondering in general, I know you've been working extremely hard and I'm still really appreciative of the session you did with us. So I feel more connected to this section always now moving forward. So I just was wondering how it all was going because I know it's not easy.
Oh, this last month is cake compared to the previous.
Mhm.
Your kids are half the size.
Mhm. Okay, I think you're just cutting out a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay, I
she's
was like,
not
everyone
coming
else
in
seemed
for
to
me.
understand it. I'm like, okay, it must be me.
I know. I was like,
Okay. Poor Christy. Okay.
Okay, I was like,
Your packet's probably half the size.
what was that, Christy?
I think the
think-
packet was half the size.
Piece of cake
Oh,
compared to the.
Mhm.
compared to some, I love how Heather's just, mhm.
I could, well, I feel bad. I asked her the question, so now.
That's why I really thought you understood. what-
Heather, I was going to ask the same thing. So
Okay, good. Okay,
like,
oh, okay.
I'm just gonna assume it's on my end, that everybody else is understanding it. The way Heather's like, mhm.
Okay, piece of cake. She said
piece
it
of cake.
was cake.
Awesome.
Sorry, Christy. Just thinking about you is all.
She's such a good sport. Okay, so is there a motion to accept as presented?
Motion.
Heather, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so we're on to our reports and correspondence, Appendix F.
I wanted to start out with a review of the capital project scope and remind everyone that on February 9th, we're asking voters to be voting on a new $11.9 million capital project. And the upgrades include 8 1960s vintage toilet rooms, 1998 vintage classroom univents, heating and cooling, windows from the 1990s and 2000 era, 2 1990s secondary art classrooms, high school corridors and lockers, incandescent and T12 lights, exterior canopies, the bus garage roof, the bus garage overhead door, the parking lots, sidewalks, and curbs throughout our complex, including addressing the drainage issues that we have. And we also would like to address storage needs by building a pole barn on the school campus for proper storage equipment. equipment storage because we sold the old bus garage, so we no longer have that storage building. But we would also like to have a storage building on our property, not on Shortsville Road. Also to address the energy efficiency by removing an original chimney, and safety by addressing having an accessible restroom near the auditorium foyer so that the high school can be closed off to the public for events occurring during the school day or even after school hours that parents and guardians and guests would attend. And also to remind everyone that Red Jacket receives 89.1% in state aid for capital projects. The remaining local funds needed for this project are already set aside in the capital project reserve. The capital project reserve is a restricted reserve that can only be used for capital projects. And I try to remind people, I use this example quite often. And, you know, if you're talking with folks about the capital project, if you could just share this with them, I think it'll help them understand. If the state offered you approximately $90,000 for a $100,000 home renovation and you had the $10,000 in your bank account, would you take the money the state was going to give you for the renovation project? I think most people would say yes. So, you know, capital projects are the most efficient and affordable way for schools to address costly repairs, upgrades, and replacements. And if we don't take the money that the state sets aside for capital projects, other school districts will. So if you can just help remind everyone that on February 9th, we'll be asking voters from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. To vote on this new capital project. The voting will occur in the auditorium foyer like always. We think that we're going to be able to manage it because the time span with keeping distancing, sanitizing, and you know, making sure everybody is safe. Also, we asked the board to review the CSEA MOA due to the shortage of school bus drivers. The CSEA union and district agreed to aid individuals in becoming qualified school bus drivers. The district will provide the training the individuals need if they're interested in applying to become a school bus driver. In doing so, individuals must remain employed by the district for a minimum of 3 years, 3 academic years. We're trying to help them become bus drivers, but also retain them. So those who would leave the district, if they left the district prior to the expiration of the first 3 years, would then be required to reimburse the district for the costs associated with the training. Also, you'll see in your packet the RJFA MOA. This is something that we discussed in September. It's really just the agreement with the RJFA about the varying modes of instructional delivery, synchronous and asynchronous, and also included the coaches' stipend would be paid based on the regular season, and if the season stops due to COVID, then their stipend would stop. So we're just asking the board for approval on that. Kim and I were trying to look back, and we thought that the board had approved that, and that was not the case. And as far as COVID cases, I had given you an update as of January 5th. We had 4 staff, now we have 5. We had 22 students, and I think right now we have 24. But I wanted to give a shout out to Sarah Huber and Julie Brown for their hard work. They're so great working with the administrative team and with the Department of Public Health on contact tracing. I mean, we're a small school district, but even so, it can be complicated because people don't have the same last names. There might be split households. So one child might live in our school district and go to school in our district, and a sibling might go to Canandaigua. So they're helping the Department of Public Health with even those types of things to say, no, that student goes to Canandaigua, they're not ours. And it's a daily thing. And I love them. They're awesome. They do such a wonderful job. And I appreciate all of their hard work and just wanted to give them a shout out. That's all. Also for athletics, the indoor track meets will be at Pinnacle Athletic Complex in Victor. And Sue just shared with you, you know, that we could have 22, she said 21, but I thought it was 22 varsity runners. The complex, I've never been to the Pinnacle Athletic Complex, but I guess it's really huge. So as far as the meets go, it's a great place to have the meets so that there can be some distancing with the runners, between the runners. So I think that that was a really good opportunity for us. And the travel is not far at all. So it's kind of nice. Maybe afterwards they'll consider having more of the meets there. I don't know, you know. We're not going to have the modified indoor track team. Apparently there's not too many schools in our area that are holding modified, from my understanding, and we would have to participate against Monroe County schools. And so they're much larger schools, and there was a concern about safety with having to compete against such large schools at the Pinnacle Athletic Complex. And I am very happy to report that the Snowmobile Club has agreed to the agreement that Joe Shields had provided to us previously. They had their attorney review the agreement, and their attorney just asked for a couple of changes. Well, I think the club actually asked for a couple of the changes. One was to change the trail width from 6 feet to 8 to 10 feet. And the other was to be able to allow them to do some trail work. So if there's ruts in the trail, that would be a safety issue, and for them to be able to make those fixes. That second part was already in the agreement, that they would just have to contact us to let us know that they're repairing the trail. It excludes removing any trees. They should not be cutting trees down or anything like that. But we did make the trail wider for them, and Maria Rydzinski from Ontario County, she had suggested that previously as well. So I didn't think that that was a big deal. Our insurance company reviewed their policy, and it meets the standards. And so I'm going to be asking the board to consider approving the resolution for the Lehigh Valley Snow Riders Club to follow the trail that we outlined and that they have in their possession, and you have seen as well. So the trail does not cross over any of our fields. It doesn't cross over the baseball field any longer. And the trail is only one trail is approved to go across the property, and it excludes being on the Paddleford Creek area that was being used as a secondary trail. That's no longer allowed. And I also want to give a shout out to the administrative team for getting into the holiday spirit with staff delivering breakfast pizza. Chris for the transportation department, and all the goodie bags and scratch offs and the homemade hot chocolate to our staff. Karen was into the delivery with me, so that was great. And then also for Jeff donating furniture, and for everybody donating food and donating Christmas gifts and money to our neediest families. So I'd like to thank everyone for that. That was really generous, and we have a great team, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks, Charlene. Does anybody have any questions for Charlene? No? Okay. So we're on to our financial report, Appendix G. Did anybody have any questions on that? No? Hearing none, I'll accept on behalf of the board. Appendix H, our treasurer's report. Does anyone have anything on that? No? I'll accept on behalf of the board. We're on to Appendix I, which is the RJFA MOA agreement. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the attached memorandum of agreement with Red Jacket Faculty Association dated September 25th, 2020.
Motion. Lisa.
Good, Heather.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Appendix J is our CSEA MOA agreement. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the attached memorandum of agreement with Civil Service Employees Association regarding the school bus driver training program.
Motion, Heather.
Second, Amanda.
Any questions? All in
I just
favor?
had-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just had one question. I know it says we'll incur the cost. How are they tracking the cost? Like if somebody, decides like that they want to leave in a year and we've paid for it.
We're going to have to document that. We're going to keep track of the hours. So, currently Cliff has been training a person because they have to have so many hours of driving time. So all of that has to be documented on a chart so that we can track it.
Sure. I just want to make sure that the person's aware, like
We'll have to sign off on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Do you have a
Thank
question?
Yeah, I needed or would like a quick refresher on what the training is. I was trying to remember, do we do it through BOCES? Does the head bus driver do it because they are certified in certain things?
Our head bus driver does that.
Okay. And
They'll provide some of the training.
okay, gotcha. Which consists of a combination of like driving and videos, I don't know.
Well,
Or content.
It's pretty much driving.
it's
okay.
just driving. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we're on to Appendix K, which is the fixed asset salvage. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to authorize the following items to be classified as salvage and removed from fixed assets.
Motion.
Second, Amanda.
So I actually had just a quick question. I see the first item is a smart board. What's the lifespan of a smart board? To me, I mean, I know I'm older, but it seems like they haven't been around quite that long.
Yeah. I don't know. Chris, do you know what the lifespan typically is of a smart board? I mean, I know we've been replacing them as they begin to fail.
As they die. Yeah, initially it's the bulbs that start to go. And it depends on the smart board. Like the first batch that we purchased lasted, I think, about 5 years. And then we've, upgraded and done better ones each time. So I think they're going to last longer and longer, or at least that's the goal.
All right, I was just curious. I'm used to seeing like overhead projectors and things like that on here, so I saw smart board. I was like, whoa, wait. Amanda, were you going to say something?
Say about 2007 was when I first got one in my classroom. So that was
Well, that's
probably
the year on here, right? Okay, so you had, maybe this is your original.
Yeah. I think it's Amanda's smart board that we're trying to salvage.
I'm just used to seeing like much older equipment, so I was kind of
Yeah.
curious about that. Okay. Were there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so Appendix L is the extra classroom audit approval. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the audit committee to accept the extra classroom audit report and the corrective action plan for the year ending June 30th, 2020.
Amanda.
Motion.
Motion.
Lisa, second.
That was-
You pick, Kim. You pick.
Did you get that, Kim? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so I need to request a motion to amend the agenda to add the Lehigh Valley Snow Riders resolution.
Motion.
Or- Lisa and then Heather.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the attached resolution to license the S45 trail to the Lehigh Valley Snow Riders for recreational snowmobiling.
Motion.
Lisa, Heather?
Yep.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we're on to the policy, and for the administrators, I did clear it with Charlene. You're good to go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You don't have to stay on for the policy. You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the privacy and security for student data and teacher principal data. Did anybody have anything on this one that they wanted to discuss?
I had just questions. I was pretty sure we set our data protection officer. Did we do that?
Yep,
Okay.
it's me.
I was gonna add, isn't it Chris?
That's why Chris is here.
No, it's Chris.
I just wanted, and then it says that you have the appropriate knowledge and training. Does this require additional training, or that's all stuff we've already been?
Constant training. So I'm on level 3 at this point, and level 4 is on February 1st. And then what'll happen is all of that'll basically kind of, not all of it, thank God, but a lot of it will get turnkeyed to the teachers. So I'll work with the principals to include things in faculty meetings, because it's just way too much to try to do like on an opening day. We can do some of it through like videos through GCN and things like that, but a lot of it is going to need to be in person, where we're doing some tabletop scenarios. Last year we did a thing with BOCES where we sent out a phishing email and Charlene offered all of us money, and they spelled her name wrong and did things like that to see how many people would bite, to establish that we all have to be so careful, because we are the vulnerability, the people. So there's a lot to it, but I'm working with Nate and Sue and Karen Hall, and the 4 of us are putting together a lot of the NIST framework pieces, and BOCES is helping us with that, because there's some things that are just out of our control, because it goes through LakeNet and EduTech. So we're trying to put all of that together. It's a huge amount of information, and all of the DPOs sit with blank looks on their Zoom faces as they just throw things at us. So there's a lot to it, but we're trudging through it. I think we're doing pretty good. We feel good when we talk to other districts and they don't have third-party contracts like we do, and they don't have the EdLaw 2D agreements. And we are like way on top of that. Nobody's using any software to our knowledge that would share student PII that we don't have an agreement for. And we felt that was the most important place to start in, because that's where a breach is going to happen. So we're feeling pretty confident with that, but there's something new to learn every day. So a lot of reading. And there's really nothing to change in the policy, because it's pretty much regulatory. It's, it's one of those policies where you might change a word or, add my name in there. But outside of that, we're really required to do all of the things that are in there.
The only thing that was a change that Chris had suggested is on the last page of the policy. If you look at the paragraph under annual data privacy and security training, just to remove the word office, 2 words, officers and, because the awareness training is to its staff, we don't have any officers that we would provide that training to.
The only other I had was, do we have the Parents' Bill of Rights and the policy on our website already?
We have the Parents' Bill of Rights on our website, and that goes to all of our vendors. And then this will be the updated policy that will go on the website as soon as you guys approve it.
Okay.
This type of policy, anything that needs to be reviewed more regularly than another type of policy, or as things change, we will just amend it and reapprove it?
I think the policy service has been pretty good. You know, there's different policies we've done and we've thought, oh, we're through that. And then
Right.
they send one the next year.
Yeah.
So my guess is, yes, this will probably be one that'll keep coming around. Because as, you know, as we protect our data more, the hackers will get better
Mhm.
and find other ways to get to it.
Mhm.
So yeah, my guess is it'll probably change over time.
Well, thanks for all your work, Chris, and maybe you'll have a new career as sometime in the future as a data
Consultant, you can consult.
I think she'll be avoiding careers and she's done a great job though. So thank you, Chris.
Does anybody have anything else on this one? No? Okay. So the board hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to waive the second reading and complete the adoption of policy 5676.
Heather?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. So now I'd like to request a motion to move into executive session.
Motion.
Second, Amanda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And everyone has the Zoom that was sent out for that?
Oh, yes, I think. I don't know.
Pink.
It was on the email. I sent you guys an email with both of the links. Okay.
Yeah, that one was
So
from
if-
Charlene. Yep.
Yeah. So if you need it, Barb, just let me know and text me. But
Look-
we're
look-